check. Tim Ham, this is the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall, and Clay is here. Anyway, this is for the date is October the 15th, 2025. By the way, we're going to do our Friday. We're going to record our Friday show tomorrow. Just FYI, because I'm going to be out of town on Friday or traveling on Friday. Whatever I'm going to be doing, I'm not going to be around on Friday. Anyway, and here we go. We're going to be coming down in 3, 2, and 1. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, college football fans across the nation and around the world. This is Tim May with the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall. Oh, my goodness, Clay Hall is actually here. Whoa. Clay, welcome back from your sabbatical.
Yes, I'm out of the weeds.
By the way, I've noticed you take a lot of sabbaticals.
I guess I'm in trouble.
No, you're not in trouble.
I'm in trouble.
You're featured.
Yeah.
You're featured. You're the featured singer here. And it was kind of like the Supremes featuring Diana Ross until it became Diana Ross and the Supremes.
Yeah.
I know what's up.
I am back and ready to go.
It doesn't sound like it.
Now we're ready to go.
Yeah, now it sounds like you're ready to go.
How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good, except we had the power go off at our house this morning. I think a squirrel got up into the transformer down the road, and because I saw him working on it down the road, and resets everything, and even our refrigerator has to be reset. Used to be plug and play with or plug and freeze with the refrigerators, but even refrigerators go now. And
we were out of town, came back, and you immediately check every darn thing in the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No issues. Let's go.
It's really funny though, but you were out of town, and I'll just jump in this right now. You were out of town, and you were in Pennsylvania babysitting your grandkids while your son and his lovely wife had some extracurricular things they needed to deal with. That sounds kind of funny, but you know what I'm talking about. But bottom line, you were in the great state of Pennsylvania, where hell did freeze over. They did fire James Franklin. I don't know if that's hell freezing over. I think that's more of like this is what was expected. But my point is, I want to get into this. Here we are halfway through the season, at least as Ohio State goes. Ohio State's played 6 games, is number 1 in the country. 6 of the 12 regular season games are in the books and out of the books now, but he'll be on Penn State's books for the next 6 years in terms of finances, is James Franklin. And just, man, as we looked at this Big Ten going into the season, and now as we take a look at it halfway through the regular season, although they're not halfway through the Big Ten part of the season, but you follow my drift, ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. I hope you do as we hit the Gulf Stream here. The creek is rising.
I would love to be in the Gulf Stream. Yeah, man.
Just let's get your take first, since you haven't been here for a couple of episodes. Are you surprised by what the Big Ten looks like right now? Or in my case, I guess I will give one input. The only thing that's a surprise in my book is Penn State. So that's where I stand.
As well. I guess let's say.
First, talk about Franklin. How stunned were you about that? You didn't get to comment on that.
Stunned that it went so bad so fast, and in 3 weeks he's gone. Because if you lose to Oregon in overtime and then you win the next 2, he's still there, correct? Because everything's still possible.
Everything was still exactly. Once you lost that 3rd game, boom, you're not in contention for the Big Ten championship game, and you're not in contention to make a college football playoff, even though you went to the semifinals a year ago.
Oh, they were
not even a year ago,
right?
Like 10 months ago. They're playing in not even 10 months. Yeah, about 10 months ago, they're playing in the college football playoff semifinal, and they make a play or two. They play Ohio State for the championship. That's how quickly. Well, that's how quickly things have turned, and yet not, because the bugaboo for him always has been against top 10 opponents, his abysmal, woeful record against top 10 opponents. And so now it finally caught up to him, because as long as you're losing to Oregon, but you're still in the running, okay, but then you lose to 20-something point underdog UCLA, and then you lose to 20-something point underdog Northwestern. Now you've lost even what you had, which was, the ability to get yourself almost there, but not there. Now you're not anywhere close to there.
You're not even in the same stratosphere.
Yeah, there's no there for you this year.
And yet he, it's funny how when things go bad, everything's broken. It's broken. The program is broken.
Yes.
Is it broken? Okay, well, I guess it is. I guess you can't summon the resources or the whatever it is to get your team up. I guess the hangover lasted too long. We know they have talent. They had stockpiled it. They were ready to go, made a coordinator change. This was the year. It was going to be Michigan wins, Ohio State wins, Penn State's going to.
Who did they hire, by the way? Who did they hire as defensive coordinator?
Knowles.
Away from
the Ohio State
which
University.
had just won what?
National championship.
After a 3-year rebuilding program by whom? Jim Knowles.
By Jim Knowles.
Yeah.
And then he gives up an astronomical amount of points against UCLA and also, 22-21.
Anything over 20 to UCLA and Northwestern is astronomical. I agree. More like a suborbital flight, but still, it's getting up there.
Yeah, I mean,
after losing to Oregon and not being able to make the play defensively in overtime against Oregon,
if they do have to pay him the full 50 or 49 or 48, whatever it is, $20,000, I think every day for the next 6 years, something to that.
I could live on that
effect. If he gets another job, and I don't know. I think he will. I don't know if it'll be for next season. It goes down to 18, and I heard some folks this morning say money was not an issue in any of this, even though they're refurbishing their stadium, NIL, all of that stuff. Money.
Well, here's the thing. Money shouldn't be an issue because you as a school agreed to this is going to be his contract. Shame on you. Okay. Shame on a lot of these schools for giving these exorbitant guarantees. No, not salaries, the guarantee aspect of it.
Sure.
That really handcuffs you. And look at Ross Bjork was down at Texas A&M, and they hired Jimbo Fisher, but they gave Jimbo Fisher that big re-up, and because all the powers that be said, yeah, let's do this. This guy's got it going on after the COVID season, and then they found out he didn't have it on, and so the powers that be that were clamoring for lock up Jimbo Fisher, and I think they meant financially or contractually, not in a jail, because eventually they said lock him up or kick him out of the jail, give him his pardon, and get him out of here, whatever it takes. I mean, that's not necessarily Ross Bjork's call, as the athletic director, or even sometimes the president of the university. It's the powers that be, the big money Dilberts.
Bingo. Yeah.
And
we know
same thing with Tennessee, but same thing with James Franklin. You had to figure people were saying this is embarrassing. This is not the guy like we thought he was going to be. But, he had so many years left on his contract. No buts about it. He's gone. And this is in the era when schools are basically flipping over rocks to try to find extra coinage, digging through their pillows to find extra money. And yet they're finding this to be able to pay James Franklin how much a day? $20,000 a day. And to just go home and sit at home. He'll get I'm not sure how his contract reads, but if he gets another job next year, which the guy's a good coach. Is he a great coach? He hasn't done that yet.
No, he hasn't. He's not elite because he hasn't won those big time games. The record is just miserable. I'm wondering too, now that Penn State has slidden off the
new word, ladies and gentlemen.
Slidden. I just made that up.
That's a good word.
Has left the building in terms of playing for the title. I was just very impressed with USC pounding Michigan like they did. And I'm wondering now if they've become a player that Lincoln Riley has found the mojo. I was impressed with them because I think Michigan has has most of what they need to. They still need to develop that quarterback, but SC looked impressive to me. Could they play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game? If
Who
Ohio
knows?
State can get there, but the fact that their third string running back ran on what has usually been a pretty stout Michigan D for 160, 180 yards was incredible to me.
Yeah. And the big breakaway helped a lot too.
No doubt.
Those totals.
And they win by almost 20. But
here's the thing. You're stammering around the point you're trying to make. Is USC a little bit of that surprise team at this point, halfway through the regular season, not the Big Ten season. Obviously, USC and Notre Dame square off this weekend at Notre Dame. Big game. That'll be a harbinger, I think, for how good USC really is in my book.
Mm-hmm.
But as I look at the Big Ten right now, I was saying all along, I'm not. I'm gonna pat myself on the back, give myself
can't reach you.
One of those massage things where you go up and down because bottom line, I thought Indiana was going to be good, if not better, than it was a year ago, but the schedule was tougher in the Big Ten.
It is.
Now that they went to have gone to Oregon, and in the fourth quarter especially dominated that game. They won 30-20. That includes a pick six they gave up.
That's right.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Literally, I looked at that game as 30-13, realistically, because you don't throw a pick six every day. But so I thought Indiana was going to be good, but they faced a gauntlet of a schedule that they didn't necessarily face last year. Really, their toughest test in the Big Ten. I mean, they did beat Michigan. Ohio State didn't.
Right.
But was when Ohio State bushwhacked them in Ohio Stadium. And then they got beat by Notre Dame in the first round of the college football playoff. But as I pointed out to people, their only two losses in the last two seasons have been to the two teams that played for the national championship last year.
That's right.
Okay, that's pretty good on any resume.
Yeah.
Even if you're in the SEC, you'd go, hey, we can brag about that. I don't want to get into that. But I
want to get
But the bottom line is, I thought Indiana was going to be good again, but they had this gauntlet they had to run. Well, man, they beat Iowa with a big time play at the end of the game. They beat the hell out of Illinois.
Oh.
They beat more hell out of Illinois, HE double hockey sticks, than Ohio State did. But Ohio State still beat them by 18. I thought it was a
3 scores. Yep.
Dominating win on the road, just taking care of business. Obviously, the Illinois-Indiana game was at Indiana. Not that that's an excuse one way or the other. But the bottom line is, then they go and they dominate Oregon in the second half of that game. But I thought, I was on record many times is I thought Indiana was going to be better than it was last year because I thought they had upgraded themselves in the portal, especially at quarterback compared to a year ago. So I'm not apologizing. I have nothing to apologize for. I am stupefied about what happened at Penn State. But sometimes, man, we saw it. You weren't around them, but when Earl Bruce, they lost 3 in a row, and then all of a sudden Earl Bruce was gone. The Monday of the Michigan game, they let him coach that game
that he won.
And the bottom line is, the way as legend has it, because I was around then. Legend has it they didn't want to give him the chance to beat Michigan and save the season, as far as his job goes, or save his job, and the dominoes fell. But the bottom line is, that seems like a fairly similar scenario with James Franklin. Is okay. We've seen enough of this.
Let's pull the plug.
Maybe we can do better. Maybe we can't. But if we just sit here and don't try, we may live to regret it. And so, the interesting thing is who they go after. But that Penn State is the biggest surprise in the nation this year.
No question. So my question to you is, as a learned college football observer, do you call Cignetti or do you call Matt Rule or do you call somebody else first? Because I don't think if you call Rule, he's in. I think he is there. He is taking the gig. If you want to go to Cignetti, maybe you put the feeler out there, and both these guys you don't even have to give them some monumental raise. But I think Cignetti will stay. If you get to him, I could be wrong, but I think Rule takes the gig.
You never know what's in a man's heart. Cignetti's from Pennsylvania. That's where he cut his teeth. He's with his dad, and then going off on his own. A late bloomer in terms of people making him a head coach, but boys, he proven he has a plan in hand. Matt Rule, I thought, did a great job at Temple and did a really good job at Baylor before he decided to become an NFL head coach. That didn't work out, and he goes to Nebraska. Has Nebraska had the magic yet? No. They are 5-1 or whatever their record is going into this year, into this weekend.
That's it.
So he's still sort of proving himself. Is he an upgrade from James Franklin?
I don't know that.
That's the point.
Yeah.
But
Cignetti
here's the thing about Cignetti. Cignetti did it. He showed up at Indiana with a plan. He didn't show up at Indiana. Yahoo! I'm now an FBS Power 4 head football coach. I am the happiest man on the planet. He showed up with the idea, as he said, Google him. He wins. And Google him. You can't Google his plan. That's the problem. You can only see it, when it comes to fruition. But in my opinion, Curt Cignetti is at the top of the list because, wow, I've been incredibly impressed by his first 2 seasons at Indiana, not just his first. And he shows he has a plan. He also shows that he's confident that if you give him even close to like equipment,
the resources,
he can make things. It's kind of like Ukraine fighting Russia. There's no way Ukraine, right. But with a little bit of input from the allies, or whatever you want to call them, NATO partners, et cetera, they show they're more than capable of taking on a major foe. Much like Indiana. Well, if you watch them play, they have great game plans, man, about attacking these teams. But I will put it this too. I think you agree. Physically, they're not lacking much in terms of actual players either.
Exactly.
This isn't a bunch of junior college guys running around getting it done. They've got big-time players there. So go ahead.
No, I was just going to say he's instant offense. I mean, whatever his plan is, I mean, he's 17-2, something like that. That's an incredible.
I like the way you said it. 17-2.
I mean, it's just, it's beyond I mean, Matt Rule might get it done eventually there. I don't know how quickly, but this guy comes with, it's astounding to me what he's done there.
Here's the only thing. He's got to make sure that somebody's updating every week his Wikipedia page. Because when you Google him, that's what you're going to go to first is his Wikipedia page. And, sometimes you wonder whether athletic administrators, et cetera, do more than Google somebody anyway. I mean, when they do their quote background checks,
they make it shinier.
Yeah. George O'Leary, there's an example for you right there in Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to what we're saying. Yeah, I mean, he would, and then you saw where Joel Klatt threw Brian Hartline's name out there.
Yep.
See, and the thing is, we both admire what Brian Hartline is doing, what he's been all about, whatever. But how do you sell that as an administration that you would hire an unproven in any form or fashion head coach guy? That's what you do if you're Ohio State.
I was about to say
that's what you do. But that's what you do if you're Ohio State. But obviously, Ryan Day had coached 3 games in place of Urban Meyer in 2018, and Ryan Day had been there already for 2 seasons. Gene Smith had an idea of what he was all about, and when it came to not just being a person, but also being a head coach for 3 games, the way he rallied the troops there. So that wasn't as far a reach as hiring somebody else's coordinator. We've seen that fall flat. You saw Florida hire Texas's coach in waiting, Will Muschamp. That didn't work out very well.
Not at all.
Just right on down the line, I can name a few more of those examples because, there's such a difference between being a head coach and a coordinator. It's kind of crazy. Just all the responsibilities, et cetera. But if you can prove yourself at the place where you are that you're capable, like Ryan Day did, it's a total different dynamic than going out and hiring somebody else's offensive coordinator because you like the way they play offense. Dude, you can hire offense, but you can't hire a head coach who I said a while ago comes with a plan in hand, like Jim Tressel did at Ohio State. Jim Tressel showed up. He had won 4 national championships at the FCS level, or back then Division I AA, as the old saying goes, Google him.
Yeah.
And so he clearly was a head coach who happened to also call plays, as opposed to an offensive coordinator who calls plays now, who has never been given the reins of being a head coach and all that entails. And in this era, you've almost got to go get a proven head coach because of the transfer portal, because of NIL, because of having trust, and what are his connections in terms of bringing people with him to enhance the staff.
It's the complexities now of the job that have changed so drastically in a matter of 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
It's
well, actually, the last 4 years, it's been flip. Yeah. It's been
no doubt
watching somebody watching a short order cook in the back of like Waffle House or something, dealing with 8 orders in a row, different style of eggs. This guy likes them over easy. This guy likes them like me, well done. No runny on my plate. Yeah. And but that's what a head coach does now. He's got about 10 things cooking at once.
I see a head coach. I see a Ryan Day trying to walk down the hall, being pulled. Hey, coach, this just came up. How do you want to? And then you got this, and then you got that, and he's got 12 people on his shirt tail by the time he gets to the end of the hall.
Hopefully he's got a lavalier mic, though, so when he gets away from the microphone, you can still hear him, unlike as you were glad-handing as you went down the hall there.
I act these things out. You're right.
Hey, but let's get to this, because transfer portal is going to be basically the first 2 weeks, for one of another term, another way of explaining it, in January. Obviously, Ryan Day was not for that, as we talked about, and I'll have video of him talking about that in a minute. It'd be the second video we bring up here, but this juggling act we're talking about now, the head coach is dealing with people in the administration probably more than ever in terms of making sure NIL is aligned. The revenue sharing thing is going on correctly, because now schools can pay their football players out of the big budget, so to speak. But it takes all these people working in the administration now, and that leads us to our guest of the day, Kevin Griffin, nephew of 2-time Heisman Trophy winner Arch Griffin, who you had a chance to sit down and talk with in the at the Fawcett Center for Tomorrow, or whatever it's called. I always call it the Farrah Fawcett Center, since I got to interview her one time way back in 1976.
Whoa!
Yeah, she hosted. She was the MC of the Miss Lufkin pageant because she had been a Miss Texas, and a newspaper sent me out to interview her. Because I covered the Miss Lufkin pageant. I was a sports editor of the Lufkin News, but that meant she did a lot of other things. And so she was at our best hotel in town, the Holiday Inn. Back then, Holiday Inns were really nice. I guess they still are. I don't know. But yeah, I'm sitting by the pool when she comes walking out at 7:30 in the morning with jeans on and a white, puffy shirt like Jerry Seinfeld had, and she looked, I'm telling you, this is 7:30 in the morning. I'm going, oh my goodness. And I'm there. I'm in my best plaid leisure suit. You remember leisure suits?
Oh.
No, you were a little kid when leisure suits were.
Surely
I don't care. You can't. It's hard to believe leisure suits were ever hot. But Google, as Kurt Signay would say, Google the 70s.
There's got to be a picture somewhere.
I don't know if there is or not.
Wasn't there a photographer on staff?
Yeah, there was. We had a photographer take photos.
There you go.
Thank God he didn't get that wide shot. Not that I ever saw. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, introduce this video because Kevin Griffin, give a little idea of what he's all about, what his position is, which is he's like that utility player in baseball where he plays 8 positions, right?
No, that's exactly
well, not that
right.
many, but you know what I'm saying.
It's kind of a wide-ranging interview with a guy who comes to the table after working for the Cleveland Browns, the Seattle Seahawks, and DC United in Major League Soccer. So he brought a lot of business acumen to the deal, and that's basically he kind of oversees. He's not a fundraiser, though, but he does look for revenue streams as we in this era where, as you say, they're trying to turn over every rock to find another. He came up with the practices, the football practices that fans could attend here the last 2-3 years. I think it's good. It's interesting. It's compelling. And
that football practice is just an example. I mean, he's always working. They're always working to find new revenue streams. They're always working to figure out NIL. Now that schools can have more to say about NIL opportunities, working really hard in that area also.
Yeah, without question. Well, let's go to he's still a young man, Kevin Griffin, former 4-year letter winner for the Buckeyes under John Cooper, had not a pick six, block punt return for touchdown back in the day. You and I both covered him. Terrific young guy. Let's see what he had to say about the state, the landscape of college football today. So great to be with another Griffin around the Ohio State University Clay Hall alongside Kevin Griffin, former 4-year letter winner under John Cooper, returned a block punt for a touchdown in the Sugar Bowl, which I witnessed as you whooped up on the Aggies, right?
That's right.
Do you still, those memories still, they're back there?
They're there. The best part is the relationship you have with your teammates and, when you get to see them or work with them or support them in some way. That's what it's all about. Obviously, playing football is fun, but it's all those long-term relationships with your fellow players and coaches.
You have some pretty famous uncles. Do you feel like you're in a royal family?
Not at all.
The Griffins?
Not at
all. Come on, Art.
No.
Ray?
Those are, hopefully I've said this as long as I've been associated with Ohio State. Those are just people I grew up with, right? They're just uncles. It is neat. The other day we were at my youngest son and I were at Dick's Sporting Goods and we saw our Uncle Ray and gave him a hug. So it's just family. We were out in Seattle for the Washington game and our Uncle Duncan and our family were out to dinner and we were saying hi to some fellow Ohio State fans on a Friday night and they said, hey, yeah, we know all your uncles. And I said, well, one of them's standing right over there. There's my Uncle Duncan. So, the best part about it is not the football, but the people that they have been as men and been able to model what it means to be a good citizen, be able to model what it means to be a good father and a husband. And those are the things that matter most. And those are things that I and my cousins and everyone else lean on our uncles for.
Kevin, I've been here, moved here in 95, and it doesn't take you long to see the power and the vastness of the brand.
Yeah.
And what that Block O represents.
Yeah.
What do you think it represents?
Well, it's one of the things that you don't ever want to take for granted. To me, I'm actually getting goosebumps thinking about it. It means family. It means community. It means the great state of Ohio. It means people who care deeply about this place that we all call Ohio. And regardless if you're still here or you've left Ohio, it matters to you. And it symbolizes not a university, but really what Ohio, the state of Ohio, means to all of us. And so the best part about wearing an Ohio State sweater or polo or whatever you might be when you're walking around an airport or the other part of the country is someone's going to yell OH and the other person's going to yell back IO, and immediately you know what that means. And that matters a lot. It matters a lot. I think it's beyond the people. I think it's the best asset that we have here at Ohio State is the university's marks, block, and what we mean.
It's so far-reaching.
Absolutely.
Because Tim May he's been here longer than I, and just the first trip to Arizona, I think it was 97. Tim will correct me if I'm wrong. Early or mid 90s. And we just got to rent a car. We were going to shoot some stand-ups near the stadium in Tucson. And I get out of the car. Somebody yells OH over here, and I hear IO over here. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's just coast to coast. It's global.
It's really cool, right? We have we just finished a conference and a seminar with all the top ADs and leaders in sports here in Ohio, in Columbus. We just finished at noon today, and they were all on site here on campus and touring our facilities. But the one thing they always come back to is you have such an incredible fan base, and so that gives you this market advantage, not only in recruiting, but also on the business side as well. And so we try to think about we're organized in a way where we can take advantage of that in a way to support our university from a financial standpoint, support athletics from a financial standpoint. So as I tell people all the time, while we love our student athletes and our coaches, they're precious to us. Our fans are the most important thing that we have. Our fans and our love, they are literally the most important thing that we have, and we have to treat them like gold.
When you left here in '98, I guess with a marketing degree.
Yeah.
How did you see your career going?
Yeah, so it's interesting.
What did you want to do?
So you all know, I know you all know Pat Chun very well. So they're Pat and Diana. This is actually Diana Sable's old office. When I was a student athlete, I also interned in our sports information department.
Okay.
So I thought I wanted to be like Andy Geiger. Pat Chun was in that office. Diana Sable was in that office. And we kind of were like, hey, here's what we're going to do in our careers. So I had a goal to become the president of the Seattle Seahawks, order work and technology, order work here at Ohio State. And I didn't ever think I was going to actually work in Ohio State. So I started off in professional sports, did that for a long, long time with the Seahawks and then the Cleveland Browns. Then I went to an agency space and became the president of a freight agency. Quickly stopped at DC United. A friend, she was the president, and she asked, hey, can you help me with this job? So she was learning how to be a president, and I did that. And then Ohio State called and said, hey, we've got this thing called NIL. We need to understand how to monetize athletics a bit more. We love your experience. We know you know what you're doing. You're doing it exceptionally well at a high rate. Can you come in and help us think about how to be more creative and entrepreneurial? And so you can't say no to Gene Smith. And so I ended up here. And so I share that just to say, like, over the years, I had a chance as a student worker to work for Andy Geiger. Yeah. Then I worked for Gene Smith, and now I get the chance to work for Ross Bjork. There's a few of us who have had a chance to work for all three of the latest athletic directors. And it's been fun to watch that progression of Ohio State under their leadership.
So you came here armed with skills.
Yeah.
To grow
the business.
The business.
Absolutely.
And that's what you do now?
I do.
Tell the people how many titles you have.
Well, so my official title is Associate Vice President of Brand Engagement Services and Partnerships and Associate Athletic Director for Business Strategy and Advancement. And we have an incredible team. So it's not one person, from Zen Riggs, who's our Chief Operating Officer, from obviously Ross Bjork is our Athletic Director. We have people all over this building that are thinking about how to drive the business forward, whether that's from fundraising or monetizing the business through licensed products, our affinity partnerships, our partnerships with Learfield, who are selling our corporate partnerships and developing content, our team that leads NIL with Logan and Carrie. We're all in the business, and I'll tell you, in the 3+ years that I've been here, it's been a 180 in the way that we think about our entrepreneurial spirit, and then taking advantage of what you mentioned, like how do we take advantage and support our fans, but get that revenue back in a meaningful way.
It used to be an arms race. We're going to build a better facility, a better weight room.
Yeah.
We're going to impress you with all the great little trinkets we have, and this and that and the other. How did your experience in these pro franchises enable you to really set sail here and get this thing taking it from here to here?
Yeah. So what's really neat about Ohio State and anywhere in college athletics is you first and foremost start with the students, right? And you start with the students and the student athlete and their experience. And we are here to help their dreams come true. Period. Point blank. So our job is not just to drive revenue. Our job is to bring in dollars to support their dreams that can then be invested in a way that makes sense. I absolutely love our young people. And so the best part of a Saturday watching a football game is to think about all the work a whole bunch of us did to make sure they had the right nutrition, right? To make sure that they had all the things that they needed to perform the way that they needed to perform on that Saturday for a football game. So in professional sports, we really thought about the bottom line, a lot about the top line, but ultimately the bottom line. And so there's some tricks of the trade that you understand along the way. Really deeply understanding business, understanding the intersection of marketing, media, fan, game day experience, all the other things that drive revenue that we just weren't doing in college athletics because we didn't have to. And now everyone around the country has to think that way given the revenue share position that we're in today. So a lot of the work that I've done in the past, we're able to pull that forward. We talked about one example. You guys may remember 2023, I think it was. We started the training camp for our fans. That was an idea from this office, and I took that to Gene and Ryan, worked with our friends at Learfield and said, hey, I think there's an opportunity here, and it's been successful for the last 3 years. That's not only a great fan experience, fans get closer to the practice and get to see things they hadn't in the past, but also is a way for us to generate revenue that goes back to our programs.
Do you even recognize, I guess you recognize the game played in the shoe,
Yeah,
but outside of that,
it's totally different.
the portal and the NIL,
Totally.
as reporters, we often talk amongst ourselves because any little thing that was done outside that was completely illegal. And now anything goes.
Almost.
Are you
Almost.
are you like coaches and like, we got to get a handle on this thing?
Yes.
Or do you just ride the horse?
Well, it depends on where you sit in the office and where, like, if you're just riding the horse or you're thinking about it, like, kind of long term. I'll tell you, it's interesting. My first week here, we had a meeting and someone said, hey, you need to call so-and-so's agent. And I you need to do what? If you used the word agent when I was here, you were going to get kicked out of school. That was it. It was death. The death penalty for you and your
Call
career.
his agent.
I said, call their agent. I said, okay, that's interesting. So things have changed. Look, we have a lot of smart people, a lot of great people here at Ohio State thinking about all the big macro issues. And then you've got our coaches who are dealing with their teams, and you've got Logan Hiddle and our NL team thinking about how to manage the cap and the revenue going to each of the teams, and then ultimately the student athletes. We have a lot of really great people thinking about that. We will get to some point where we have the proper equilibrium. We'll get there. But as a former student athlete and someone who worked in professional sports, it's nice to see that the student athletes that are putting the energy and investment into building the product are being compensated. Yeah.
I think there's some news value here because you regard the shoe maybe as the top asset other than the labor force that you have.
Yeah.
The 1922 club that's going in next year.
Yeah.
But that's the first of many, as you've related it to me, right, that will surround the horseshoe.
Yeah, we're always thinking about our facilities, and Mike Penner does a great job for us leading our facilities as one of our executive athletic directors. And so between Mike and our board of trustees and others, are thinking about what to do with all of our facilities. And so everyone knows we have the 1922 club that will be coming online before the start of the next year. It's a high-end premium club on the east side of our stadium. It also has a restaurant that will have opened up during the week, but on game days, it's a beautiful, beautiful football game days, a beautiful, beautiful experience that folks can go in and enjoy. Then they'll have their own football tickets to go to the games itself. But we're really excited about building a premium space at the stadium, and we broke ground on that started demo on Monday, so yesterday, and that'll be up and ready before the first game. That's Mike's story to share more than mine, but Mike and others have been working on it, and we're really excited about it.
But other projects are being
always thinking about it. Yeah, we're always thinking about it. There are a couple others that I'm not sure where we are in the news cycle that are coming, but absolutely, there's other things that are greenlit.
Because it just seems like a no-brainer to put like a memorabilia, merchandise, those type of shots.
Yeah.
Every ballpark, every NFL stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, you see, hey, what an opportunity.
The number one phone call that we are receiving at the moment is about how are you monetizing your stadium and arena. And so different vendors are coming to us that are experts in the space, by the way. And they're saying, hey, have you thought about X, Y, Z? And, there's probably a time where we said, we don't need that. But now you're seeing all around the country, like at the University of Wisconsin and Maryland, all over the country. Kansas just launched their new football stadium that had been renovated. Everyone has to think about this in the proper context, in the proper way. We're still in the education business, and we can't forget that. But we're also in the entertainment business, and so we have to understand what it's going to take in order to fund these programs the appropriate way.
And you're also the proprietor of 36 varsity sports, which is just unheard of for most places. Is that still a battle to survive and to, have the resources for scholarships, because before Ross came, you hear these rumors. Well, they may lose this, may lose that. It may look a lot different. Is that an ongoing fight every day to fund those sports?
Well, that's certainly a Ross and a board of trustees decision that they'll make, and it's ongoing conversation. I think Ross has been very clear about his position on that. That we'll keep all 36 sports, but that's his job. But one of the things that I don't think folks understand, because we don't communicate this often, is inside athletics. It's not just those 36 sports. We also run business advancement. That means we run the arena here in Schottenstein. We run the arena downtown. We run the stadium. We have a theater facility where we're hosting concerts and music events all the time. We run our trademark and licensing department. We run our affinity department. We have a hotel called the Blackwell. We have a visitors and convention bureau that we also run. All of those things
are under the Ohio State umbrella.
So that's Ohio State Athletics and Business Advancement. And I'm leaving. We have the golf course, right? I'm leaving things out. So a traditional athletic director has never seen that before. It's been really fun to watch Ross over the last year and a half get to understand that entire business,
the scope of it,
the whole business, right? So think about every concert that's going on here in Columbus. That is literally someone in this building looking at, whether that's at the Shot, whether that's at Nationwide Arena, at Ohio Stadium, or at Mershon Auditorium. And these are major acts, right? So that's like just a big part of the business that we oftentimes don't discuss, but that's what's under the auspice of Ross Bjork and Zinn Riggs.
You still go and sit in the stands every?
I do.
You can.
I know you've seen me in the press box, so I actually like to sit.
You pace.
Yeah, I do. I like to sit by Coach Cooper and his family. What's really neat is if my wife is here, we'll go to the game together, and then I want to go around and see how operations are, and then try to make my way up into the press box. We talked about relationships earlier. What's really neat is Coach Cooper usually has his granddaughter, and that's Sydney's daughter, and we have a great relationship. I always laugh, thinking, man, I'm getting old. I'm getting old. Just remembering your mom and now seeing you, it's really fun. And you all know, like, Coach Cooper is a little loud in that press box, so it's fun to listen to him as he's watching the game.
It is wild because Cindy used to be kind of my co-anchor in the south end of the end zone there. Oh my, those were some great times. So the Buckeyes are 5-0 as we talk at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like the incremental? Or how do you think this team is shaping up?
Yeah, well, for me, the observation is usually just kind of like it's on the environment and culture, and I think it's been fun to watch.
Calling.
Yeah, not play calling. So what has been fun to watch is everyone evolve from where we had been 3, 4, 5 years ago into where we are today. And so I think what Ryan has done, if I can comment on this,
Certainly.
I don't see any dissension in the locker room. And and everyone's, they're such a mature group, and watching Ryan over the years mature himself and grow into an incredible leader. It's marvelous to watch. It's something we can all learn from. And one of the things I tell the staffs that I work with all the time is, if our expectation of Ryan Day is to be the best coach in America, then my expectation and his expectation of all of us has to be that we're the best at what we do, because we're all on the same team. Mm-hmm. And in order to make sure that it's equal, if you're expecting him to be number one, then you better be number one at your job. So get your tail up every day, work your tail off, and deliver results. We can't expect that of one of our teammates and not the rest of us, including ourselves. So Ryan's setting the pace, and it's really cool to watch that.
So well said, Kevin.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. Yeah.
Thank you for the time, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great to see you again.
You as well.
You haven't aged a darn year.
yeah.
Number 42.
There you go.
Kevin Griffin. Let's send it back to Tim May.
Thanks for the handoff.
Yeah, baby.
I'm skirting right in right now, and I'm planning my foot. My foot just slipped out from under me. There's a great Southwest Conference network play-by-play used to say his feet deserted him at the 41-yard line.
I like when he said, we're going to reach the proper equilibrium. He has confidence that this crazy last few years.
Yeah, but even that equilibrium will be temporary, Here's what's going to come from the transfer portal, by the way, before we move into revenue, private equity possibly coming into the Big Ten, for example, a major infusion. But wow. I'll give you my view on that in a minute.
Okay.
What was I talking about? Oh yeah. The transfer portal it's going to be challenged. It's going to be challenged immediately. in court. I mean, litigation, because now does it impede a man's right or a woman's right to make a change when they feel compelled to do so? You know, you've given the birds their freedom, and now you're going to put them back in a cage, except for 2 weeks out of the year. And of course, you know, bottom line is, you as a student athlete, you can pretty much, I think, still say, "Hey, I'm out of here," right?
True.
But at any time, you know, we've seen that happen. We've seen guys declare for the portal in the middle of seasons, and even though the portal's not open yet. But the point is, if after spring football you feel like you don't fit in with what the new coach has brought in after 4 weeks of practice, or you don't like the direction the new coach is headed, like Bo Atkinson, who's now playing defensive end for the Ohio State University. He was at UNC, and Steve Hellwagon, our friend, brought that up as an example. You know, he transferred after spring. He transferred headed toward the summer away from North Carolina to Ohio State, and he played extensively again the other day when Kenyatta Jackson had to leave the game.
That's right.
So
you love the portal, baby.
Yeah.
Constant. You're right.
But no, the constant churn. But the thing is, you don't want the constant churn either. No. You want to be able to say, this is our roster now. And a lot of times, see, the problem with college football is you have spring football. And spring football is where a lot of guys make moves upward or downward based on their effort, et cetera, what they show, what their potential is headed toward the next season. And either they want to get out or you want them to get out. And so when you're setting your roster, it's now you've got to figure out who you really like, who maybe you don't like now the first week of January before, like Ryan Day will point out later in this thing when I've run that sound about him talking about a couple things. But before some teams have even finished playing, which was Ohio State and Notre Dame last year, and Ohio State and Texas, Penn State and Notre Dame. So it's just a tough time. You know, it should be fair for everybody, not just, you know, even the top two teams of the year. It should be fair to them to be able to have a time to assess, reassess, et cetera, after the playing days are done. It also, but the point is, what if somebody new comes along, you know, or somebody gets hurt in spring and you need a backup right tackle, or you need a right tackle, for example. Now you supposedly, I guess you can't go out and get them. Now the transfer portal is going to be interesting to me because, like I said, a player can always transfer, right? But the transfer portal allows you a free transfer, meaning you could play immediately. Now, what's going to be explained later is, does that mean if after the spring you decide to change schools, will you have to petition the NCAA to gain immediate eligibility? Like in the old days, you had to sit out a year, right?
Bingo. If
you transferred in the Big Ten, you had to sit out 2 seasons way back when, and you could not go on scholarship at the new place.
Rather confining. Yeah, compared to
so you wonder why the transfer portal ever came along, right? Yeah, right. You wonder why NIL ever came along, yeah. You know, and then now revenue sharing, but it is what it is. But just wanted to get your take. I mean, obviously, when Ryan Day he kind of laughed about, you know, this possibility, but not laughing about the possibility, but of private equity suddenly pumping this huge infusion of cash now into maybe the Big Ten and some kind of big deal. And, you know, what you've understood all along is like Ohio State, a Michigan, maybe even a Penn State, maybe even a USC aren't necessarily for the private equity thing, which seems to be coming like a freight train, even though it could net Ohio State $190 million estimate-wise over, I think, a couple of years, what that would mean. But do you want this idea that it's going to be a benevolent private equity firm that's going to give you all this money and want nothing in return but coupons to clip, like a retiree, with dividend paying stocks. That's all they're not going to ever look over your shoulder and say, I wouldn't do it that way. Is folly. And there are already enough people looking over your shoulder telling you what to do. Do you, as Ross Bjork or Ohio State, Ted Carter, want somebody else looking over your shoulder and reminding you all the time, well, we gave you all this money. We should have a right to have a say in something.
Well, the way I'm reading this, this private equity fund would control TV, a lot of sponsorship, and maybe it's the leap of you're selling equity in a university asset, and maybe some people can't make that leap, but we've seen so much change, and this is going to be supposedly $2 billion worth. And I guess from 20 million
divided by 18.
Yeah. Up to 190 is quite a leap, but they say the costs are out of control. And, maybe Ohio State, if they want to keep funding those 36 varsity sports, which nobody else does, maybe they do have to fall in line here. But it seems, I just don't want this to be a Jerry Jones, Micah Parsons. Hey, is this the first deal that's come along? Could you get a better deal? Could Jerry have gotten another first round pick if he had worked on this a little earlier in the calendar? So, I guess they need the cash. I think the thing that was interesting to me with Kevin Griffin was monetizing the arena. They've had a number of principals come at them and say, hey, you need to do this, this, and this. And I think you're going to see not only this 1922 club in the stadium, but you're going to see memorabilia shops and merchandise and jerseys and all of that stuff. I think you're going to see things pop up around the stadium. I could be wrong, and it may be a slow process.
I don't know why they aren't already there.
Exactly.
Always been my argument.
It's incredible.
Just like you could put a museum in the stadium. There's, or some kind of form. I mean, I've been on this thing forever about a pantheon of statues of the head coaches who have won national championships at Ohio State, much like Alabama's got. But I mean, just all kinds of ways you could spruce it up. I mean, they're already giving tours, and tours cost money. They're charging money for the tours and stuff, and
give them something to see.
They have functions going on in the stadium all the time, and some of the other clubs they've got there. But when you're talking about as much money as we're talking about it, we're really talking about some of the other schools in the Big Ten that don't have near the resources an Ohio State or a Michigan have, or a Penn State or a USC, and maybe a couple others. Maybe even Nebraska, because Nebraska's got such a rich history, et cetera, and they have a lot of people who really care about football there. But those are the ones that need it. The ones who don't have it are the ones who need it more than not going to Ohio State. And my point is, anybody will take money. But the point is, do you want somebody then being able to call your shots for you that you've been used to when in fact they may call a shot for you? Like, hey, how about playing Michigan on Thursday night?
Yeah.
I mean, people laugh, but that's maybe the wild end of it, but that's where things could go.
Well, the fact that these people, this UC, University of California Pension Fund, owns a piece of the Big Ten enterprises, and they hold the television rights and sponsorship deals that Ohio State has been. That's a leap for me, and. Yeah, I don't know. I think it deserves a little more research. Maybe this has been going on for a year or two, and I'm just unaware of it. But and then it extends the grant of rights deal. I noticed to 2046, and I don't think Ohio State wants out of the Big Ten right now. I don't see that.
I don't see that. Yeah,
that's not a problem.
But what you could see is the amalgamation of Big Ten, SEC, and maybe one or two of the other Power Fours, breaking away, so to speak. But what does that mean? You still have to have rules. You still have to have guidelines, guardrails, whatever euphemism you want to use there. But we'll see where it goes. I just every time I think of private equity getting involved, I think of the movie Wall Street when Charlie Sheen is upset that they bought into his dad's. Airline. His dad's the head of the machinist union or whatever, not machinist union, but the maintenance guys of the airline union. And Charlie Sheen jumps in and says, I'll run it, to Michael Douglas. Michael Douglas has that sly smile to him and stuff. When in fact, dude, we're not interested in running anything. We're interested in gutting this thing and moving on. Yeah. I mean, the point is you never know what the intentions are. They seem so good coming through the front door.
That's a good parallel.
But and who knows? I mean, could be great, but is every private equity the same? Heck no. I mean, people want to, you've seen what they've done to other companies and stuff. Just go in and get, just start slashing jobs, et cetera. So they can get theirs. Because anybody gives you a bunch of money, eventually wants to get that money back.
Back in business on Blue Star.
Correct. Anyway,
so we shall see.
All right, but anyway, but let's get to just a couple of questions. I had for Ryan Day at the end of the press conference earlier in the week, the questions will set themselves up. But then at the end I asked him what is the ideal. Well, at the end, I actually asked him at the start, but he answers it at the end because I did since you were limited to one question, I came up with a compound question, which were non sequiturs. But
that's a well-traveled and well-worn and successful approach by Tim May.
Yeah, but overworn. But let's just get to that real quick, and we'll discuss it, and we'll get the hell out of here.
Compound question. Number one, or first part of it, what would be the ideal time for a transfer portal now that you've studied things, et cetera, or do you have that in mind? And number two, last week you emphasized, this defense is playing really well, but some turnovers, forces of turnovers are really helping. Boom, you got it. What are you emphasizing this week?
Well, it's everything. Whether it's special teams, punt return, kickoff return. I thought we had a nice kickoff return. It got us up to the 35-yard line. It's like you just keep swinging and fighting and cracking at the rock, and eventually it will crack. But we're swinging at the rock, and eventually it'll crack. And that's it in all areas. So there's some things that we've seen that we have to continue to improve on. We talked last week. We hadn't got a bunch of turnovers, but we focused on it. We emphasized it, and all of a sudden it popped up. So that's got to be us moving forward. But there's a lot of other areas that you know what they are.
Yeah.
I won't get into it right now, but that's it, and that's the game. So again, that's the only thing we can do is get back to work. In terms of the portal, I just felt like it needed to be after the season was over, wherever that is. And there's great conversation in the Big Ten head coaches about some teams are on quarters, some teams are on semesters, some schools graduate sooner than others, and so there was a lot of great discussion on where that window should be, a lot of give and take. But that was the big thing for me is that the season has to be over, and then at least we can make decisions from there. Again, I won't get into all the details now. We got to worry about Wisconsin, and so maybe this conversation for another day. But I do have pretty strong feelings about it.
He does have strong feelings about it.
No doubt.
Because you know what, a place like Ohio State, the desire is to play for the national championship every year, be in the running for the national championship, and win it every now. It's kind of like that's now become the goal of the year, and I know they won't ever express it this way, but if you win the Big Ten along the way, hey, good. But it's like in the National Football League. If you win the AFC North, hey, good for you. The goal is to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And
when you don't, or play for the Super Bowl, or at least play for the conference championship. My point is, that is the goal now, and no one's saying it, but that is exactly what it is about now. But then going back real quick to the when I said, where are you going to emphasize? Because you emphasized turnovers last week, and boom, they got 3, and booed. Those were rip-out turnovers. Yep. Those were in your face. We made them happen. You didn't throw an errant pass. Jermaine Matthews tipped it, and Peyton Pierce pulled it out of the air. Jermaine Matthews strip sacked your quarterback, and the ball comes out, and Caden Curry recovers the ball. And then that run up the middle when Caden McDonald just grabs the ball and pulls it out of the running back's hands, that's called forcing a turnover. And they got it. I'm thinking this week what they're looking for, which you haven't gotten yet, and he talked about it a little bit earlier in the press conference, but is breakaway, some kind of home run by a running back. They haven't gotten that yet. They've gotten a 30-yard jaunt here and a whatever jaunt there, but taking one to the house a la Travion Henderson last year, or Quinshon Judkins kind of got you almost to the house, a few times.
Just a yard short.
Yeah. But he was like when mail moved from delivery to your door to delivery to the street. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he still got you down there. He still, the check was in the mail. That's for dang sure. But you agree? I mean,
well, yeah. And I was going to say, I know we'll transition to the game on Friday, but I was really struck. Luke Fickell is reeling. He used the word dumbfounded, and he said, I just go back to when I wrestled. If you get tired of getting your ass whooped, maybe we'll turn it around.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it more.
But it is, 37-0 last week. They didn't come close.
No.
They didn't come close to competing. I'm talking about over the 60-minute run. Everybody has that infusion of adrenaline at the beginning of games and stuff, and that's what Ohio State has to guard against more than anybody else in the league. Well, maybe, or obviously Oregon does, but the opponent taking their best shot at you
right away.
And for a half, it looks like you're in a game, but the second half is when the heavyweight really holds sway. And with they just look like they have no idea what they want to do or what they can do on offense. I'm talking about Wisconsin, and that's playing, and in comes the number one defense in the Big Ten. So
bingo. And Luke admitted, maybe he shouldn't have admitted this.
Well, but some things are obvious, No, but the sun is hot.
But I'm saying they pointed to that game against Iowa. They've been practicing for Iowa since spring ball.
Yeah.
And that's all they came up with.
Maybe Iowa's doing the same thing for Wisconsin.
I guess must have. But you're right. Turnovers killed them. They're done. After the first quarter, they got behind so quickly.
Their major failing, though, is like for a couple of years now, they've lost their number one quarterback.
Yep.
It's tough to play. It's tough to have backups that are anywhere close to what you want. And then when you get the other guy banged up, now you're in deep trouble. Ohio State's not going into this game being magnanimous. Okay, we won't pass rush and let you try to do something. It's the opposite of that, because Ohio State through the years, at least since I've been covering, has been on the bad end of a couple of Wisconsin games. And anytime you can get more even, not get even, get more even. What's that mob thing? We're not just coming after you. We're coming after your family,
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking about that. But yes, it's too bad what's happened with there. And what do you think about the think about the idea of emphasizing the run game? I mean, obviously that's where Ohio State could use a big play or two, man. And really, I mean, Bo Jackson played well last week. Didn't play, but he ended up having a sprained ankle or sprained something that they retaped, et cetera. But that's the guy who seems most capable right now of delivering that home run if you send him up there with the bases loaded.
That's it. I agree. And you're right. That's kind of the one thing, if you want to get nitpicky about their 38 or 40-yard punting average, we got to punt better.
There's a guy on the internet right now.
They don't punt much.
There's a guy on Twitter who's just hammering that is the biggest.
Oh,
like
really?
That is the biggest failing of Ryan Day and this team is the punting, not recognizing Nick McClarty's the better punter, et cetera. I'm just going, all right, whatever, bud. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and because who knows? He may be right. I don't see that as a glaring thing, but as I said to somebody yesterday, the problem with Ohio State's punting game is they hardly ever get to punt in a real game.
And why is that an issue?
Yeah.
Don't let it be an issue.
Well, it can be an issue if it's a close game, but
if you're not punting much.
Right. But Joey McGuire, I mean, I'm still going to give, here's what I always look at it like this. You can criticize after the fact, well, you should have done this, but during the week, Ryan Day and his staff are looking at who is punting the ball the best,
Of course.
who is being the most. When we ask him to punt it to the left side, who is doing it the better at right side? Who's banging it when we really need to bang one? They're watching this during the week. We see on Saturday what it's all about, right? In maybe one or two examples.
Well, right. And McGuire's average, I'm told, is 40 yards. I'll have to check it. But 40 yards is not bad.
No, it's not bad.
It's different if you're shanking them.
It's bad if you're punting from your own 30. But anyway, it is what it is. The other thing is, I think Brandon Ennis has been so close a couple of times now. You got to figure some big breaks coming there in the punt return game. I mean, obviously he had the big return against Washington and then got hit and fumbled at the end of it. Boy, that would have really flipped that game. But the bottom line is, I think that's coming, and we'll see if in fact they dare another kickoff return or two, because in my opinion, you should dare it. The problem with Ohio State, they don't get a lot of chances to return kickoffs.
Right. Right. No,
They're guaranteed one.
It's like
punting. Yeah. And last week they got to return 3 or 4, excuse me.
More than normal.
Yeah. But the bottom line is, like I said, you get maybe a couple of examples in the middle in a game to actually show whether you've made improvement there or not. And I don't necessarily hold those as referendums on what you're working on during the week. Yeah. But like I said, you got to give them a benefit of the doubt of putting their best guys out there to do certain things. And if you're not getting blocks done on the punt return, or you're not getting blocks done on the kickoff return, they replace you. So we'll see how it goes. But we'll talk about Ohio State, Wisconsin in our podcast for Friday. I really enjoy doing these podcasts, the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall. What about you, Clay?
Yeah, no question. Yeah, it keeps us so intimately involved with the team, and when you're covering the number one.
I'm glad you added with the team.
Yeah.
To that sentence
instead of
intimately involved. Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
With the club.
Absolutely.
And they're pretty good. We'll see. I wouldn't fool around with Wisconsin, a team that's looking for any sign of hope.
Here's the big question, though. I'll pose it Friday.
Perfect.
So, I'll forget about it because I'm 71 years old. But ladies and gentlemen, for the incomparable Clay Hall, this is the easily replaceable Tim May. Until next time, we'll see you then.